We are here for Kitchen Conversations, and this is a new series that we're going to be kicking off. We have fabulous guests that will be joining us once a month with their crew. And the whole point is really that, Jesus was always dining with people and he was always telling stories. And through that, people came to know God's love for them. So this is an opportunity to have a fun time of fellowship where these women are going to join us and you can ask them whatever questions you would like. We have people like Lauran Thomas, who is here. Say hello, Lauran.
Hi.
She is a Christian counselor, and I feel like God's always about freeing us from all of our past so that we can run that race He set before us. And sometimes we need help dealing with those painful past things. So Lauran is here to come alongside of us, and we can ask her all those questions that we've always wanted to ask a therapist, and she's going to come alongside and and help us. And she's joining us from Colorado, which is so great because we miss her since she moved. But that's the amazing thing about this time is that we can all be together even though we're far apart. And we also have Julianna Mathers, who is so precious to me because she taught the Stuck class, which was my favorite class I ever took at BCC. And you were like an older sister to me. She was able to come alongside and say the hard things, and speak into my life, which is so important to have those Christian women who can do that. So I'm just so excited you're here. And she's here from Texas. She's going to tell us about
from Dallas.
Yes. And then we have Tonya Cooper here too, who we were going to start a podcast, but during this time I thought we need to see her face instead because we're still isolated. And so she's going to be joining us once a month here too. So I'm going to let you ladies take the floor. And Lauran, why don't you start us off and just tell us a little bit about you?
So this is fun and exciting. But as we started off, excuse my appearance right now because I had to shift my location. But I am kind of excited to be back with BCC because we moved about 6 weeks ago and Colorado is wonderful and I am loving that. But what's even more wonderful is God didn't release me from Virginia. And He said, hey, you can go, but your ministry stays. And I am still counseling women, teens, families, couples, and we're doing it this way. And so I have still got my body in Virginia through the camera. God gave me an opening 6-7 years ago after I'd been really practicing secular counseling, and He just said, oh wow, something's missing. I didn't really know what that was, but it was that faith wasn't sitting in the room with me when I was talking with people. And so once I opened that avenue and step through the space of fear, because I'm not a trained Christian counselor, I am a trained secular counselor who is a Christian, and God just said, hey, you can bring that in. You don't have to be a minister to do that, but you can let people live their faith in the room with you, and you can support them, guide them in a space that says, we have some clinical tools we can use, but God's walking right there beside us every step of the way. And so that's something that's been exciting and growing, and noticing that we're really missing that. And so if we can do that together, and take that journey, then it reminds us that even though you're sitting talking with me, once you leave that session, you're still not alone. And that's exciting. And I have learned through that process also that I'm not alone when I'm sitting with you. And that's super fun. So I'm glad Michelle asked me to do this. And I don't know what we're going to get from it. But one thing that I do know is that one of the questions I get is, because I'm going through this hard time, do I need to seek counseling? Or do I need to just go and talk with a friend? And that might be some ways we can get some questions going for the Thursdays that I talk is what are some of the issues? What are some of the pressing challenges that you're having? And we can really look through them a lens of with faith, can I do this with that alone? Or do I really need some more structured tools to be able to walk this journey that I'm on, because life is just a straight process and it goes until we meet God, right? And so it's never ending. And it's giving us that ability to say, are my struggles so big right now that I need something more. And so I'm open to any of those questions. Are your kids' struggles more than what you as a parent can just walk through? And given the situation we're in, one of the statements I really have been holding myself is that we have to establish something new, and we can't cling to the old. And that even means our coping tools. And so if we are looking at this situation of isolation and loneliness and how do I live my life in this COVID situation, it really is looking to something new. And that might even be, what does that mean in terms of self-care? And how do I do my self-care different? Because it's not being able to go and meet my girlfriend for coffee, if that was part of my self-care, but it's actually like going, wait, I have to actually work differently to care for myself. So those are just some of the ideas. Looking for hobbies, that was one of the things that we were talking about, is how do I uplift myself in this time? And one of the things is finding hobbies that might be different, because developing a sense of self in what God's giftings are for you. And so it might look like, I am an avid runner. I'm not good. I'm avid, meaning I like doing it. But what I really like is I like doing it with someone. Well, I've kind of, one, I lost my buddies because I moved. And two, it's really hard to keep social distance on a trail when you're trying to have a conversation. So I have earbuds and I now call a friend while I run. And so I had to develop something new. It feels weird. It's kind of not as comfortable, but it is still feeding. And so I have to give myself permission that even though it's not the same, it still can be good. But that's just one of those ideas, is finding a space of uplifting for self so that then you can be present for others. So just some ideas, but I love questions. I love talking on the spot, as you can tell. I'm a good listener, but you gave me the floor, so that means I get to talk right now.
I love it. I love it. And if you ladies have questions you want to ask her, you can ask them anonymously. So you can email them to women@burkecommunity.com. Or if you want to come on and be a part of this, just let us know and we'll send you the link and you can join her actual video when she's on. She's going to be joining you the 4th Thursday at 2:00 every month. She'll be here with us. So we are just so thankful to have you here. It's awesome.
Thanks.
And Julianna, tell us what's happened to you since we've seen you 4 years ago.
Well, first of all, I'm tuning in on the 4th Thursday of every month because all that sounded really good, Lauran. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say. And I agree about, you think, oh, it's just a Zoom call or it's just a phone call, but it does make a difference in terms of staying connected with your friends. And like right now, we could all choose hobbies like eating chocolate that would in the end not be self-serving, right? So to find the hobbies that are self-serving, I think is the key. But I live in Dallas. I'm an old timer for BCC. 4 years ago now, I moved. 4 years ago, we moved here. We love Texas. We are in the home of Priscilla Shire and Jenny Allen. So right in the buckle of the Bible Belt. And however, some of my closest friends are still BCC women. And we call ourselves the Soul Sisters, and we connect every week. Really, we connect every day. Probably listening right now going, like, I already know what she had for breakfast kind of thing. So my passion really is for women to find safe places where they can be vulnerable and authentic. And that allows us to know that we're not alone, right? Because the enemy wants us to think that we're in this all by ourselves and that nobody is feeling the way we are. And to just join with other women in a real and vulnerable way can help us just know that it's not just us. So that's sort of like, we lost Tonya, didn't we?
We lost Tonya. I just texted her to let her know we lost your video feed.
But that's sort of, the precursor to the full-on counseling. However, we have had situations in our family where we've had to say, like, I need help. I need help. So I can't do it quite all by myself anymore. You need a village, you need your tribe, and then you need to know when things are just a little more clinical and a little more serious. So yeah, I am hiding out in my bedroom right now. It's kitchen conversations, but I have two somewhat feral teenagers in my kitchen right now. You know, it's really, life is good for the quarantine teen, generally speaking. So I'm in here, they're out there. We'll talk more about that, I'm sure, when we have our week.
I love how you said too, you were going to have your soul sisters joining you. I mean,
yeah, if they will.
That just sounded awesome to know that we'll have like Tiffany Royce, who goes to our church too. She's part of that, so she will be she'll be joining us too. And looks like we have Tonya back as well. So let me put her back in our video here. If she can come. There we go. Oh, we got to see the desk. This is the fun. We've all learned this conversation that if you flip the screen, it's nowhere near as clean as it looks when we turn the screen this way.
That's right.
And so you can all feel better knowing that it's a mess out there, but we've cleaned a little space to make it look a little less distracting on this side. Tonya, it's good to have you back.
Here I am. I decided to take like a 5-minute break, you know. Run some errands, vacuum the floor, wash the dishes. You know what we do in 5 minutes.
It's good breaks.
Exactly. So many of you know Tonya already, and you know that she teaches at WOW, and you know that when she speaks, you always want to listen. That's such a blessing to have you here. So tell us a little bit about what you wanted to talk about when we see you.
Oh, I wish I knew. I'm like Lauran. I don't know why BCC gave me a platform to use my love language, which is talking. Okay, I love to talk about any and everything. And I hope you ladies will help us with topics. Send me anything, questions. It's all on the table. Michelle mentioned that Jesus loved to dine to get to know people. And which means to me, there's supposed to be food like fried chicken, some macaroni and cheese, some potato salad. I don't know. Maybe that's what we'll do on my section. My section is the first Thursday of every month. So I hope you ladies will join me in talking about any and everything. A clue is obviously one of the first topics will be the quarantine because, well, it's what we all have in common. So, and right now, for me, I'm getting used to the quarantine. And by used to, I mean, I don't do laundry anymore. So there's a lot I don't do anymore. And laundry is just one of them. And I'd love to know what you're doing and not doing when we connect together. So I hope to hear from you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Think of it like, remember when we used to have like Dear Abby and you'd write your questions and then you'd get this response. So this is the perfect opportunity, ladies. Whatever is like, you just wish you had another Christian woman's opinion. This is your place to email women@burkecommunity.com and we'll give them these topics. You can let us know specifically who you would prefer to answer it and we'll send it to them. And then, of course, you know, we run into the situation where we have a fifth Thursday every once in a while in a month. And so our church's mission is gather, grow, go. So we're really great at gathering and growing. And since we feel like, how do we go right now? Like, this is the perfect opportunity to come together and just share what God's doing in your life or just have those conversations so God's message goes out. So you can volunteer to be our guest and you don't have to go alone. That's the one thing. It's when you go alone, it's kind of like, oh, but this is invite your friends. They can join you. We'll send them all the link and then you guys can have a kitchen conversation. And yeah, we have some other guests too who will be joining us the second Thursday. Julianna is actually the third Thursday of every month. So she's going to kick it off for us with her friends next Thursday. And I just want to read before we go from Acts 2, because I felt like this was such a good verse. It's starting in verse 42 where it says, the believers form a community. It says, all the believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to sharing in meals and to prayer. And then it goes
Meals.
down in 44 to say, and all the believers met together in one place and shared everything they had. And down to verse 46 where it says, they worshiped together at the temple each day, met in homes for the Lord's Supper, and shared their meals with great joy and generosity, all the while praising God and enjoying the goodwill of all the people. And each day the Lord added to their fellowship those who were being saved. And I feel like we all have these stories, ladies. You know, the reason you love God is because of because he first loved us and the way he's spoken to your lives. And so this is the time to share that with other women and to come alongside each other. And while we can't hug each other personally, we can at least be here to do this and to build a time of fellowship for one another. So if you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if I want to get up there, you know, you don't need to go alone. And it's lots of fun. And God gives us joy while we're doing it, doesn't he, ladies? Even when we first hopped on, we couldn't stop talking. So, you know, that's the perfect opportunity to do that. So email your questions, women@burkecommunity.com. And do you ladies have anything to say before we go?
Don't be shy, ladies. Don't be shy.
Absolutely. You don't need to feel alone. You have a whole group of women to come alongside you and encourage you and support you and walk this road with you. So, all right, we'll see you then. Bye, ladies.